Hi, it's Walter, and I'm recording this message for Sunday, April the 19th, 2020, which means it's the sixth Sunday in a row that we haven't been able to meet together. And if you were with us last Sunday, on Easter Sunday, you know that we took a walk. We took a walk with a small group of ladies to the empty tomb. Well, I want you to know that this week we're not going to be doing any walking, but we are going to take a journey. But this time, we're going to journey in automobiles. So how many of you have heard this question on a family road trip? How many of you have heard from the back seat maybe, are we there yet? That's a question that seems to often pop up on family road trips in a car because for many of us, and especially for children, those trips can seem to take forever. And even for adults, we may not say it, but I think that we're often thinking it. Are we there yet? Well, I don't know about you, but I'm having some of those same thoughts and questions right now. Are we there yet? With the stay-at-home orders, with the social distancing guidelines, with the businesses being closed and the workers being furloughed, with canceled events, are we there yet? And in many ways, this journey that we're on is much worse than those interminable family road trips. Because this journey that we're on is filled with many unknowns and much uncertainty. In fact, on this trip, it's impossible to answer that question, are we there yet? It's impossible to answer that question because we don't even know where there is. That's the kind of trip we're on, isn't it? It's a trip that's just packed with uncertainties. We don't really know where we're going. And since we don't know where we're going, we don't know the path that's going to get us there. And since we don't know the path that's going to take us there, we don't know how long it's going to take for us to arrive at this unknown destination. We're on a trip packed with uncertainties. Well, why is that important to us this morning? Well, it's important to us this morning because our uncertainty can also be the enemy of our faith. I want you to remember that. That's truth number one for us this morning. Our uncertainty can be the enemy of our faith. It works this way. When we don't know where we're going, and we don't know what path we're going to have to take to get there, when we don't know how long it's going to take to travel that path that we're on, we often stop wondering when we're going to get there, and instead we begin to worry and wonder and question whether we'll ever get there at all. And that's when our faith starts to waver. Uncertainty is an enemy of our faith, and we're on a journey packed with uncertainty. That's truth number one. Now, for a second common automobile experience, I want you to think about learning how to drive. Specifically, I want you to think about learning how to drive in a driver's education class or at a driving school. We've all seen those driving school cars, right? They're the ones that are plastered with warning signs that are all over them that say, "Caution, student driver." My driver's ed car had one of those big caution signs on the outside. And on the inside, it was also very different from a normal car. It was different from a normal car because it had a second brake pedal in it. And that second brake pedal was on the floor of the passenger side. It was right in front of my instructor. In fact, some driving school cars not only have a second brake pedal, they also have a second steering wheel, and they have a second accelerator pedal. And all of those duplicates are positioned right in front of the instructor. So she can take over, so she can take control of the car at any point that seems necessary to her on that journey. So let me ask you this. What messages do those warning signs and those duplicate pedals and duplicate wheels send to those new student drivers? Well, they send messages of uncertainty, don't they? They send messages of lack of trust and faith, don't they? As the 15-year-old me reads that warning sign and then crawls into the car and spies all of those duplicate controls within reach of my instructor, it's really easy for me to tell that they are uncertain about my abilities. In fact, if the instructor was certain about my competence, if she had trust and faith in my driving abilities, there'd be no need for warning signs. There'd be no need for duplicate pedals and wheels. If my instructor was sure, if my instructor was certain, if she had trust and faith in my ability to take us safely where we needed to go, if she had trust in my faith and abilities to take us where we needed to go instead of being prepared to grab the wheel, instead of being prepared to hit the brakes, instead of being prepared to hit the gas to speed us up, if she had faith and trust in my ability, she could have just crawled in the back seat of the car and taken a nap, right? Well, why is all of that important to us as we're on this uncertain journey? Well, all that's important to us because it illustrates truth number 2 about taking trips. Truth number 2. When we set out on our journey, we don't put our trust and faith in the destination, and we don't put our trust and faith in the route that we're going to follow. Instead, we put our trust and faith in our driver. And the more trust and faith we have in our driver, the better able we are to deal with the uncertainties of our journey. We can handle not knowing where we're going. We can accept the fact that we don't know the path that's going to take us there. We can deal with not knowing how long it's going to take for us to get to that unknown destination. We can deal with all of those uncertainties if we have genuine trust and faith in our driver. So there's 2 truths. Truth number 1, our uncertainty is the enemy of our faith. And truth number 2, our faith is the remedy for our uncertainty. Which brings us to a great traveler and a great man of trust and faith. It brings us to Father Abraham. You probably remember Abraham's story from Genesis chapter 12. There we find Abraham. He's living happily. He's living prosperously. He's living with his large extended family and with his numerous possessions. And then God comes along and interrupts. God interrupts Abraham's established present by sending him on an uncertain journey to an uncertain future. Listen to what happened. It's in Genesis chapter 12, beginning in verse 1. We read, the Lord said to Abraham, leave your country, leave your people, leave your father's household, and go to the land I will show you. And I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you. So Abraham left as the Lord had told him. So what's so remarkable about what Abraham did? Well, what's remarkable is the faith that Abraham demonstrated in taking this journey in the face of great uncertainty. The author of Hebrews explained it this way, chapter 11, beginning in verse 8. He wrote, by faith, Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went. He obeyed and went even though he did not know where he was going. And by faith, he made his home in the promised land like a stranger in a foreign country. He lived in tents, as did Isaac and Jacob, who were heirs with him of the same promise. For he was looking forward to the city with foundations, whose architect and builder is God. Did you hear that? Abraham went on the journey even though he didn't know where he was going. He went on the journey even though he didn't know the path that was going to take him there. And he went on the journey even though he didn't know how long this journey was going to take. You see, Abraham's journey is like ours. Abraham's journey was packed with uncertainty, but Abraham went anyway. He went anyway because his faith outweighed his uncertainty. So what is faith? Well, the Hebrews writer defined faith this way, chapter 11, verse 1. He wrote, "Now faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see." Faith is being sure of what we hope for and certain of what we do not see. This is what the ancients, like Abraham, were commended for. So faith is being sure and certain. Abraham was sure he would receive God's promises, the promises he was hoping for. And Abraham was certain that he would arrive at his proper destination, even though it was a destination he couldn't see. Abraham didn't know where he was going. He didn't know how he was going to get there, and he didn't know how long it was going to take. But he was sure and certain that he would arrive exactly where he was supposed to be, exactly when he was supposed to be there, when he was promised to be there. See, Abraham set out on his uncertain journey because he was sure and certain. Because he was sure and certain that he could trust his driver to take him through his uncertainty. So here we are. We're facing our own uncertain journey. And like Abraham, we don't know where we're going. And we don't know the path that's going to take us there. And we certainly don't know how long this journey is going to last. And that tests our faith, doesn't it? It tests our faith because our uncertainty is the enemy of our faith. So how are we going to deal with this faith test? Well, we can deal with this faith test in one of two ways. We can either deal with our uncertainty in the way that our human nature screams at us to deal with it. We can deal with our uncertainty by trying to take control, by grabbing the wheel or stomping on the brake or mashing the accelerator. We can deal with our faith we can deal with our uncertainty by trying to take control, or instead we can deal with our uncertainty like Abraham did, by focusing on our driver. You see, we may not know where we're going, and we may not know the path that's going to take us there, and we may not know how long we're going to be on that path. In fact, we don't know those things, but we do know our driver. And about him, about our driver, we can be sure and certain. It's because of him that we're riding in a different kind of vehicle. It's a vehicle that doesn't need any warning signs, and it doesn't need any duplicate wheels and pedals. You see, we're not riding with a student driver. Our driver doesn't need our help. Our driver doesn't need our instruction. No, our driver is the great God of the universe. He's the creator. He's the sustainer. He's the ruler of all. And because of him, we can be sure and we can be certain that we will receive his promises. And we can be sure and certain that we will arrive at the destination he has prepared for us. So in the days to come on this uncertain journey, whenever you're tempted to grab the wheel or tempted to stomp on the pedal, remember this. Remember who's driving. And then relax and crawl in the back seat because your God has the wheel. And may your God bless you and protect you. And may he make his face shine on you and give you his peace on this uncertain journey. Amen. And God bless.